Man, am I ever excited about this episode to share with you guys. It started off with a conversation on Instagram a few weeks ago and an acceptance to be interviewed on the YVR REMO Show. Our next guest comes from a very unique background, very different from a lot of our other guests in pro hockey. He's made the transition to real estate, and after a year is having a lot of success, not only in his residential real estate, but also in investing in real estate. He's going to share some of his thoughts on goals and how to achieve them. He's going to share some thoughts on why Scottsdale is becoming one of the next places to look at buying an investment. He's also going to share some feedback on his future perspectives and what the transition was like moving from one career to another. So whether you're someone looking to invest in real estate, you're in real estate as an agent or somebody else, or you're looking to just quite simply listen to somebody who has a completely diverse background, talk about their goals, I think you're going to enjoy this next episode with our good man, Eddie Lack. By the way, if you're liking the show so far, make sure to rate us, give us a 5-star in iTunes if you're liking it, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I hope you like this episode. I really think you will. What's up, guys? You are listening to the YVR REMO Show, where we talk all things Vancouver real estate and mortgages, take boring topics and make them interesting. Make sure to stay tuned to listen to everything you need to know how to put cash back in your pocket, create wealth in real estate, and simplify the complicated. Eddie Lack, welcome to the show, my friend. We've been talking about doing this now for, 2 weeks. We met 3 weeks ago. You were gracious enough to share your time with me. And you show up and the guy's wearing a t-shirt and his hair's flicked over. I'm just bugging. Eddie, thanks so much for joining me today,
It
man.
is Mother's Day Sunday. It is Mother's Day Sunday. I think that we can give me a little bit of a break here.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was about to redeem it and say I tracked you down on a Sunday night at 5 o'clock, right before your favorite show on Mother's Day. So this is completely my fault. Thank you very much for joining me today. Man, it's been fun chatting over the past few weeks here as we've been talking about your transition into a new career. And a lot of people listening to this podcast actually might not know your name right away. So let's just quickly bring them through your career, what you were doing before this, and where you're at today. And we'll talk about all sorts of fun stuff along the way. So you were working playing professional hockey, as a lot of people on here know, at the highest heights of hockey in the world, so the NHL. And how long were you in the NHL for there, Eddie? How many years?
So I was in the NHL for about 5 years. My first years was with the Vancouver Canucks and the Carolina Hurricanes, Calgary Flames, and New Jersey Devil. So I've been a little bit everywhere.
So you've been all over the place. So played at the highest heights, and you went from one coast to down south to the other side and then back up. So I feel like you did the route of North America, almost every different angle. What was that like, moving from city to city, first and foremost, from a living standpoint, not from a hockey standpoint, just lifestyle living? What did you learn in those transitions?
That's part of a job, to be able to just pack up and move like that, right? We actually liked it. Like, now when we've been in like the same spot for like a year and a half, we're actually getting like a little bit bored, right? So now the thing that I learned most about that was probably just like how to interact with people and make friends, and just throw me into like any situation, and I know that I can still like thrive and like make good friends. So that's probably the biggest thing that I learned.
That's so key. I mean, and it says a lot that we've only just connected for a few weeks and you talk as if you're a friend. So you're clearly comfortable connecting with people, which makes the transition into your next career, at least so far, make a ton of sense in real estate. And working as a real estate agent, which is you probably have known about a year into it now so far, it's not easy. There's a lot of things to learn, a lot of different dynamics. You're dealing with hundreds of thousands, if not, I don't know. I'd love to find out what your biggest sale is, maybe millions of dollars. People don't want to mess around, and they really need to care about you and like who you are. So making the transition from pro hockey into real estate, was that your first choice, or did you have other thoughts of what you might do?
Yeah, so real estate has always been something that I've been interested in, and my family has been doing real estate back home for my whole life, right? So I've been around it all the time, and we have a few hotels back home, and that's that's always something that's been interesting to me, and I didn't want to move back to Sweden. I wanted to stay here in sunny Arizona. So yeah, we figured that we would just do our own thing here, and yeah, I mean, it's been great so far.
So how did you get from Vancouver to Carolina, New Jersey, Calgary to Scottsdale?
So we visited here a few times, and like obviously I played here a few times. So I spent some time here, and like I always loved it. My wife spent a little bit more time than me. Most of the time when I was here was like around the rink and practicing games, right? But my wife spent a little bit more time than me visiting like the cities and everything like that. So uh, we were talking when it was time to buy something about Scottsdale or Florida or California, really, because we wanted someplace warm, and California is just too much traffic for me. Like I hate traffic. Like I can't stand it. So that was out, and like Florida with the hurricanes and everything that goes through there. Scottsdale just seemed like a great place to live with the like the house prices and like the property taxes and just like the quality of life, right? So we actually bought this house when I got traded from Calgary to New Jersey, and we had nowhere to put my stuff or our stuff. And so we decided, instead of moving it to Jersey because my contract was coming up, and moving it there for like 3 months that was left of the season, we decided to buy a house down here. So we actually bought this house over FaceTime. We never saw it, and yeah, I mean, it turned out great. We love it here.
So let's talk about that experience as we talk about your career and get into it. The experience of buying something digitally. I mean, I'd say when you did that, I guess it was about a year. Was it about a year ago, 2 years ago?
We bought that two years ago, a little over 2 years ago. Yeah,
Okay. So 2 years ago, the idea of buying a house virtually for most people was extremely rare. I mean, you'd have a small percentage of people who did that. And like now, after what just happened with COVID and this coronavirus pandemic and what's going on, I'm seeing so much advertising for virtual tours and Matterports and online buying and things of that nature. Why were you
yeah.
comfortable doing that in your space? What made you comfortable with the idea of buying at FaceTime?
So we have always been like very spontaneous and just like jump on an opportunity, right? Like I've never been the kind of person that are looking back and dwelling what's been like I for me, like the next goal has always been in my mind, right? And uh, that's what I always say too. Like I don't like it when I reach my goals because I love the journey so much there, right? Like the journey, the journey there makes it so worth it, right? And uh, we didn't really have a choice. I mean, like we were either gonna move the stuff to Jersey or like sell like all the furniture and everything that we had, right? And uh, my wife had been bugging me for a long time to get something down, down here. So yeah, the opportunity opened up, and we just took it.
That's awesome, man. So if you're okay with it, Joanne, it sounds like she's your partner in crime. When we first met and we first had a conversation, you were talking about how you bought one of your investment properties, and you mentioned that Joanne was the one who found it or managed it, and it seems like she really has interest in that as well. Um, would you say that for someone who's looking, and we're going to talk a little bit about the investment piece in a few minutes here, but for someone who's looking to make an investment like that, and in your position per se, was it really important to you to have a partner who was looking for these types of things and was on the same page as you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I so I wouldn't say that you need a partner like that, but I would say it makes it like a lot easier, and just uh, to have like more eyes just looking at the different projects, and we can go over things, and like she's usually better at stuff that I'm bad at, so we complement each other like very well that way.
That's awesome, man. So tell us a little bit about moving to Scottsdale and setting up shop there. You mentioned to me that you ended up buying an investment property or purchasing an investment property very quickly after showing up there. As someone just moving to Scottsdale who basically bought it online digitally, what was that like? What made you make the jump into buying an investment in Scottsdale instead of like Vancouver or Calgary or any other city, first of all? And then the second thing is, what was your experience in purchasing that investment?
So we just so I had a few investment properties in Sweden already, and I uh, felt that if we were gonna live over here, to have like a bunch of stuff like so far away would not make sense, right? So I wanted something close, something that I can touch, and like something that I can manage. So we the first thought was just to do like long-term rental, but then we dove like right into the Airbnb market, and like found out what was going on down here, and like how much profit you can make, and we just geared up with like 10 different like short-term rental books and everything, and we like read as much as we could, and like try to gather like as much of information that we could, right? Yeah, I mean, we're a year and a half in, and or a year in, and the stuff that's happened with COVID has like put a little bit of dent in it, but I wouldn't say like we're still profitable now, and we're still making money. It's just like uh, the whole world lost money overnight, right? So, and
Yeah.
yeah, we're definitely not alone.
Wasn't just you guys. Yeah, I know it's been absolutely insane the past few months, and to know that again we're going to get over this is just so key when it comes to that type of situation. There's a few things that you said that really stood out to me, Eddie. Was the first one you mentioned right off the bat about the journey being greater than the goal. That's really cool, and I think about when we're thinking about people who are looking to, I don't want to just say invest in real estate, but are thinking about finding ways to build a future for themselves
Yeah.
financially. Real estate is one of those things that people look at and they're always like, okay, I'm going to do this or I'm going to get there. But you mentioned another thing, which was that you and Joanne ripped into 10 books or a bunch of books in doing so. So you went through the process of finding a place. You said, I wanted to be close to home. You did the research to understand that Airbnb might be a better investment for you guys. And then additionally speaking, you've also known that there were going to be some bumps and bruises and it doesn't even bother you or phase you. So that's really interesting to hear that. What makes you have that comfortability with going forward with that, even in the face of some adversity or maybe not knowing as much? Like, what makes you comfortable just jumping in the water like that?
No, but I mean, that's just life in general. I mean, the the thing with like the books and everything too is like the books or like the podcast, or like there's so much different information out there right now, right? And that information is there for us to learn from people that have gone through the different stages before, and like so we learn from their mistakes so we don't have to make the same mistakes. So uh, that's what I like about it, and I so I've never had an issue with trying new things and like seeing what's going to work for me and everything. And like the thing is that if you're just scared and you never jump, like you're going to fail anyway, right? So why not fail trying and like learn from your mistakes and like evolve that way.
That's so key, man. One of the things that I found from a lot of the clients or people that I've worked with that reach out to me is it's kind of like decision fatigue. There's too many ideas, there's too many options, there's too much information, and then they want to analyze everything so deep that they don't do anything at all. So, just referencing back to the first investment that you made here in Scottsdale, just thinking about it from a mindset standpoint, what made you comfortable that it was the right move? Was it just like lower than you wanted to spend? Was it you just felt like this is the right time? Just to again put my mind inside of someone who's just looking at making their first
Yeah,
investment like this.
yeah. I mean, for me, when I make the purchase to make an investment property, like the numbers just have to make sense for me, right? And when I looked at the numbers made sense. And uh, talking to other people in similar positions that have been gone through what I was going to go through, like they said that it's so worth it, right? And that's what made me so comfortable. Like uh, the biggest scare that I had was that I didn't know a lot about the Airbnb platform and everything, right? But I try to learn for as much as I could because there's like so many different tips and tricks like around to maneuver that website. So uh, that worked out like a lot better than I thought it would too. So yeah,
That's interesting. So you bought that investment property and then you actually went and got licensed as a real estate agent. I think shortly after that, right? Because you bought it with someone else and then became
yeah,
licensed.
yeah.
Since you've been working as a real estate agent, are you working, do you teach people or do you talk to people about real estate as an investment, or is that part of your practice, or are you more focused on just the product as a whole? Like what's your focus in business?
Both. I mean, uh, basically a little bit everywhere right now. I'm doing a little bit of commercial real estate too, and just uh, the biggest thing when it comes to like the Airbnbs and stuff is to educate people, right? And that's why it's so beneficial that I've been in their situations and I've like gone through those exact feelings that they're feeling, and I've like started everything from like the start, right? And that's what they always say with investment properties too. Like the first one is the hardest one, but like once you get the first one in, like it's just gonna get easier and easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Crack the egg and then you're all in. So when you became a real estate agent from there, I guess my question on is kind of going back to the Scottsdale piece, because we talked about this briefly before. You guys moved to Scottsdale instead of a lot of other cities, like say, similar ones like Palm Springs. And you had mentioned to me before that there are a lot more Canadians that are moving down to Scottsdale and moving to that location, that area, for a variety of reasons, sometimes investments, sometimes, second properties. Why
Yeah.
do you think Scottsdale is becoming such a hot spot for people to move down to?
So I think that you have everything you need here. I mean, Palm Springs is a little bit of an older community, right? And here you have everything that they have in Palm Springs, but you have like the great restaurants. You have like the clubs, like uh, people that come here for like the first time. They're like, "Oh my God, this is like a mini Las Vegas, right?" And like 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 Scottsdale is really like a miniature Las Vegas when it comes to Old Town. And that's what I like about it too, because you can have both. Like you can have like a little bit of party if you're into that, but you can also have like the hiking and like the nature and the golf and right. So like to me, we have everything here except beaches.
That's what you get the pools for, right? You'll sell a house with a pool.
Yep,
So
yep.
when you're thinking about, I guess in the real estate piece, your experience year to date after about a year, do you find that most people are coming from other cities to move to Scottsdale? Are they buying it for themselves or an investment? Like, what's been most of your experience so far to date?
Yeah, so I would say both. Like, so I do deal with a lot of locals that are just upgrading or downsizing or whatever, right? So there is a ton of Canadians that are moving down here. There is a lot of people from like New York, North Carolina. There's a lot from California. The recent study that I had was there's 200 people a day that moves here from California. So
Wow.
that's just crazy. Yeah.
Just tired of the traffic, man, I imagine. Just tired
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
traffic. So okay, so obviously we're located up in the Vancouver area, and we talk to a lot of our clients who are looking for places to invest outside of Vancouver. Sometimes it's for a second home, but they want those vacation properties to pay for themselves. We hear people
Yeah.
talking about cities like, well, I should say countries like Mexico along the coast. We hear about places in California. We hear about Palm Springs and other places within BC. But Scottsdale is something that's been coming up more and more and more. Actually, both of my partners went down and visited for the Waste Management Golf Classic last year, and
Yeah.
they both came back saying, "I'm buying a house down there." We we have we have a couple real estate agent partners that we work with who actually are trying to build out and pilot a program to help people buy down there. So okay, you've got someone who's maybe middle-aged and they're thinking about buying a house down there. Where should they even start? Like, what would be the first couple considerations that you would recommend?
Well, like the first thing would be like what kind of lifestyle that they want, right? And is it like a second home or is it more like an investment property? Like when we're talking investment properties, the homes down and around old towns seem to be the ones that are doing the best, right? So uh, when you're looking at second homes, then that would probably be like, yeah, what kind of lifestyle? Like, do you want to golf every single day? Like, do you like to hike? And when spring training goes on here in March, like do you like to be close to like a certain team, a certain stadium that you're following, right? So yeah, there's a ton that goes into that.
A lot of different thoughts on that. So, what if someone was in a position where they were going to use it for an investment property for themselves? I guess maybe you've had this happen or worked with a client of this nature before. What type of return on investment are you seeing? Again, assuming this is a short-term investment, because that's been a lot of our conversations about Airbnb and what does that look like. What's a typical return on investment in terms of dollars and cents that you would see in a monthly basis for a lot of the properties that you're mentioning here in Old Town?
So it varies a lot, and again, think this is US dollar, not Canadian, right? But we do see that some homes in just the month of March can make like 20 grand, right? And that pretty much pays for your mortgage the rest of the year, right? So I would say that the busy months like February, March, April, May, which are like the busiest months for us, we make around between 10 and 20 grand a month. And then the rest of the months are between 2 and 5 grand,
Okay, so
like
basically, if we do the
somewhere
math
around
on
there.
that, and these are properties around five to $700,000, right?
Yeah, probably around like 400 to 550, like around there. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And I think you just nailed it off the head right away. Like a $20,000 month pays for almost your entire year. right off the bat. So if you were someone that was looking to have like 4 months down in Scottsdale and then 8 months rented, as long as you leave those key months out, you can do pretty well, even if you rent it out to yourself for a week or whatever, right? So that's kind of
for
neat.
sure.
So moving on from the investment piece, there's a lot of really cool things I picked up from what you said. I don't know if you picked them all up, but the first thing was just jumping in and having the goal in mind and talking a lot about the journey. You mentioned a lot about the fact that you read books so that you didn't make the mistakes that other people made ahead of time. And you also mentioned a piece about regret. So I want to jump that into going all in your new career as a real estate agent. I've seen that you've obviously jumped on a lot of other podcasts and a lot of videos, and you've been putting out a lot of content and a lot of quotes and a lot of interesting things that I picked up from what you said. It just seems like you've got a positive mindset. How do you keep that mindset up, especially knowing how tough of a grind this business can be?
Yeah, but like that's like the part of it, right? Like you're only taking one step at a time, and I'm not thinking like what's on the other side of this hill. I'm like thinking like just what's in front of me this day, right? And I'm just the thing that helped me a lot too was so I started to write like a goal book, like each and every single day, right? And on one side of this book, I have my goals. They could be like short term, long term. They could be uh, goals that I've already accomplished, right? Uh, and on the other side, uh, on the same book, that's where I have my like daily schedule, right? Like this is what I have to do today. This is what I have to accomplish, and like just having those two side by side, like reminds me all the time, like what I'm fighting for too, right?
That's interesting. And now, is there a name for this book, or is it just a blank book that you're writing in?
It's just a blank book. Yeah, yeah.
Where
And
where did you come up with that from?
so I read Grant Cardone's 10x rules, and that's like the other thing that I want to say here too is that like uh, the goals that I'm writing, I'm not writing them as I am gonna accomplish them. Like I'm writing them as I've already accomplished them. So I'm saying with like a phrase. Okay, let's take an example. I am healthy, or like I make this amount of dollars each year, or yeah. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that book.
That's so cool, man. Were you doing this before when you were in your previous career, or is this something that you just started
No, no, just now. Yeah, yeah. I regret like a little bit that I didn't take advantage of all the time that I had when I played to like more prepare myself, right? But the thing is that I'm still just 32 years old, and I'm starting like a brand new career and everything, and I know what I want to do. So I mean, I got nothing to complain about.
Man, that is so cool, and I feel like we could take that in a completely unique direction in this conversation. One, I'd say that applies to anyone in any stage of their life. Just the fact that whether you're 32, 42, or 82, you have an opportunity to start something up. The second thing is to write down your goals. So I think this really speaks to our audience. So a lot of our audience is people in the real estate industry, real estate agents, and also people who are thinking of buying or investing in real estate. And I think it's important to note that you just said, write your goal as if it was in mind. So if you were to buy an investment property today, would you have a goal that you already have that property and it's already having certain results and it's already doing certain numbers? Would you do something like that?
Yes, yes, and like the big goal that I have with like the passive income, right, is that I already have like a this many properties that I want, and like this is the dollar amount that I want to make each year on each, right? So yeah.
That's awesome. Do you know that number? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, so my long-term goal is that I want to make $1 million a year in passive income.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not bad. How long of a long-term goal is that? I'd love to put a number behind that.
It might be 5 years, it might be 50 years. I don't know
Okay.
yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I thought I was put a little pressure on you there on that one. Um, so let's transition this over to your real estate business, Eddie. If I was to call you again in 3 years from today, what does your business look like at that time? Are you still just Eddie Lack working on investment and other types of properties? Do you have a team? Do you have a company? What is your goals at that time? What does it look like then?
Yes, so my goals for my real estate is to within the next 6 months to start a team, and the reason why I haven't started one yet is basically because I want to make sure that like give enough value to the people that I hire for them to be happy. Like, uh, so I don't want to. I basically don't want to be one of these guys that are hiring just for the sake of hire, and like then the people that you hire, they're not happy, and then it goes 6 months and they go somewhere else, right? uh, I want to be able to just build something sustainable that benefits me equally as it benefits the people that I work with.
Awesome. That's fantastic. All right. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. I kind of threw you on the spot. I didn't ask you that ahead of time. Um,
No, it's good.
no, it's awesome, dude. So hey, man, I just a couple more questions, and I'll let you get back because I know you got a big dog walk to get on to tonight and Mother's Day. So got some work to get out there. Really quickly on the again on the real estate agent side, I want to ask you just for some fun. What's the most ridiculous thing that's happened so far in your career? Can you think of any one thing? Or embarrassing.
Well,
You say embarrassing. I like that. Anything you
I
could
don't
share?
know. The first house that I was ever gonna show, and there was a lockbox on there, and I couldn't get the lockbox open, right? And I stood there and I tried and I tried and I tried, and like my clients were right next to me, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, this usually doesn't happen, right? But I had no idea because like this was my first showing, so that turned out that the agent of the listing, she had to drive like another 20 minutes, like meet me and stuff to
That's
open the
awesome.
house. But
I'm sure I'm
yeah,
sure you're not alone there on that one. I think I've heard of that one from a
no.
few agents. So, but I must imagine it's feel pretty embarrassing at the time. Okay, so if you're thinking about starting a team in a few months, you're going to have to mentor people or train people and help them and
Yeah,
support them in their career. And what that looks like, what do you think is the biggest lessons or one lesson, however many you like, that you would share someone who's maybe struggling a little bit right now and they want to start kicking some serious ass in their career in the real estate industry?
I mean, there's a few things. Like, first, when I started off and I transitioned from hockey and everything, like my thing was that like when I talked to people before, it was so easy to say that I was a hockey player, right? And it was so like weird now to explain to people that I was in real estate all of a sudden. So just go with it, because like the more people that know that you're like in the real estate space, the more success you're gonna have. So that's number one. Number two is that a lot of agents don't realize this, but we actually don't sell homes. Like when you're a real estate agent, you sell two things. You sell advice and you sell the experience, right? Like like that's the two things that you're gonna have to work on and get better at. Like just the overall experience for your customers, right? So when I do start a team, like I want to be able to like provide them with enough leads and enough advice from my part that like they feel like they're happy, right? So yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that, buddy. Listen, I think I learned from sitting down with you, or just, well, I guess virtually chatting with you today, that you're actually a pretty introspective guy. I think if someone didn't get a chance to hear you and listen to you and chat with you, they might just think you're happy-go-lucky. But it's clear to me that and you're that too, for sure, man. But behind the scenes, there's definitely a ton of work and a ton of energy and a lot of sweat that's gone into getting you to where you're at today, which is really, really cool. So, what would be the best way that you'd suggest that someone reach out to you if they wanted to connect with you about investing into real estate or buying real estate in Scottsdale, Eddie?
So I would either say just email me at, at Eddie at KennethJamesRealty.com, or my Instagram is at Eddie Lack Realtor, or Real Estate Agent at Eddie Lack Real Estate, I think. Yeah.
We'll link it up on the podcast one way or another.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the two.
One
Yeah.
of the two. That's awesome, buddy. That's awesome. Eddie, dude, thank you so much for connecting with us today, man. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get a lot of value out of your conversation, and actually a lot of the tips, and I'm walking away with a lot of feedback. So thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.